Most people look for a pastor inside a church, but for Pastor Charles, ministry doesn't stop at the church doors. Meet the pastor who's taking his message to the streets on two wheels to meet people exactly where they are.
I actually remember very clearly when I had to tell my parents that I was going to be moving to the United States. And it was a hard blow for me because I'd always considered myself a very proud Canadian. And that was the last place that I wanted to end up. So one thing led to another. I ended up serving two congregations, one in Philadelphia, one in Houston, Texas, and then ended up accepting the call to serve in Asia. So my family and I moved over to Asia. Unfortunately, due to an illness in the family, we had to come back. So as I sat in southwestern Ohio praying, wondering, Lord, what do you want me to do? Where should we be thinking of going? I remember very clearly hearing a voice in my head, and this does not happen very often, saying, why aren't you going to Quebec? And so that is what ended up starting off the journey to CS in Montreal, Quebec, where I served for 11 years. And then near the end of my time there, I received the call to serve St. John's in Pembroke. And that was not something that I was looking for, but Pembroke was my mom's hometown. She was born here. My grandparents were raised just outside of Pembroke in Rankin, just south of town. I have a lot of relatives in Eganville, out in Petawawa, and my father is buried just south of Pembroke. And so I thought, I think this is the Lord saying, it's time for you to take all of that experience that you have gathered in North America, but then around the world, and apply it home. So here I was, finding myself moving back into the Ottawa Valley. Yeah, so serving in a big city is really quite a challenge. On the one hand, as a pastor, you think that I have 1 million, 2 million, 5 million people that I can work with sharing the gospel of Jesus. But the reality is you can't make your way around a big city all the time. You can't drive hither and yon. And so it's always sort of a challenge, and you end up kind of trying to figure out, how do I do ministry in close proximity to my building as best I can? The advantage of a small town like Pembroke is everything is in close proximity to your building. And so when I arrived here and I looked at the membership of our congregation and the fact that we had really a family on every block almost, so well, let's just walk. Let's get out on the bike and get out and see as many people as we can. And that's because that's how Jesus did ministry. Jesus, throughout of his time on earth before his crucifixion, would walk into a town, assess where's the fallenness in that town, where's the brokenness of sin and the effects of Satan and evil. How can I demonstrate that God understands the brokenness, knows that it's wrong, and is calling us to trust that he is going to fix it? And so whether it was in Philadelphia or Houston or now here in Pembroke, it's tried to be my approach, is to walk into a town and say, well, where's the brokenness? How can I not fix it, because only God can do that, but announce that God is well aware of the brokenness, try and help it as best I can, but then point to Jesus. So that's been my approach here as well. I have always enjoyed biking. I was very late in life to get my I got my driver's license at 16, but I was very late in life to get a car. So if you don't have a car and you're in a place where transit might be very difficult, you lean a lot on bicycle because you don't need a license and you don't need gas and you don't need insurance. So even living in Northern Virginia, outside Washington, D.C., I always had my bicycle with me. And certainly when we lived in Asia, that was my only means of getting around. So I got in quite good shape biking back and forth to classes and to different Bible study groups. And so when COVID happened, and everybody was looking at ways to exercise, I said, this would be a great time just to get a pedal assist bicycle and really get back into biking. In Montreal, I was spending way too much time driving in the car. And so that's when I ended up with this bicycle made here in Canada, came from Ottawa. So it's an Ottawa Valley local device. And I've been using that to get around Pembroke when I'm not walking or occasionally driving if I have to go far.
I had to ask Pastor Charles, exactly what does it look like to meet people in the community right where they are?
It looks like sitting down with a membership list at Google Maps and figuring out where is everybody and actually setting up little routes. So I have been at least once or twice a week, now that the weather's nice, trying to go out and kind of go house to house. A lot of people are out at the cottage, but there have been people who have been home who've been just sort of shocked to see the pastor show up, usually pleasantly so. And I get to come in, have a glass of water, see where people are, and let them know that the church isn't just a building. The church is the community of Christ. And so even if you can't get to the building, certainly the church can come to you. I think most of the people that I've cold called have been kind of surprised in a very pleasant way to see their pastor standing at the door. That Jesus didn't wait for people to come to him. He would go to where the people were. And I want people to feel like I'm not just this guy who stands at the front of a sanctuary on Sunday morning or Wednesday night for a study or a service, but I am the person that will be there when you need to hear the promises of God, when you need to know that Jesus came for you personally, not just in some very general way.